On News Prime, ASU calls on federal government to halt creating more universities, fix existing ones. In business, Pension Commission targets 80 million informal workers through personal pension plan. And on the foreign scene, Ukraine's ambassador says South Africans fooled into fighting in Ukraine. And in the world of sports, House of Reps approves budget push for Nuga Stadium. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Shehu Said. And a quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, Akure Zone, has accused the federal government of misrepresenting the status of negotiations with the union, adding that newly established universities are mere crisis centers. Addressing journalists on the campus of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, the ASU Akure Zonal Coordinator, Professor Adeola Egbedokun, said despite the 7-year moratorium placed by the federal government on the establishment of new universities, it still went ahead to announce new institutions. The House of Representatives has called on the federal government to take immediate action to tackle a worsening erosion disaster in Osok community in Ekori and Akuwot, Odukpani local government area of Cross River State, which has already displaced families, destroyed lives and property. Global TV's National Assembly correspondent Aniete Patrick reports.
Odukpani local government area in Cross River State, where advancing soil erosion and landslides have continued to wash away homes, farmlands, and even natural streams that once sustained residents. A member representing Calabar Municipal Odukpani Federal Constituency, Akiba Basi, raised the motion of urgent public importance, drawing attention to what he described as a looming humanitarian and environmental disaster. Lawmakers expressed concern that despite repeated appeals from the village head and residents, the community has yet to receive any of government intervention.
The House also resolved that to mandate the Committee on Environment and National Emergency Management Agency to visit the affected area, engage stakeholders and report within 4 weeks for further legislative action.
The motion, which received unanimous support on the floor, urged the Federal Ministry of Environment and the Ecological Fund Office to immediately assess the level of damage and include the community in its intervention programs. In another development, the House of Representatives underscored the need for the federal government to reduce the price of fertilizer and other farm inputs. The resolution was passed following the adoption of a motion sponsored by Yusuf Galambi, who expressed grave concern over the hike in the price of fertilizer. In his lead debate, Galambi explained that farming is vital for food security and economic growth, which relies heavily on fertilizers and other farm inputs for its sustenance.
Federal government has taken steps towards regulating food prices, but the price of food in the market is not standing alone because it is a combination of other factors with fertilizer and other farm inputs.
To this end, the lawmakers urged the federal government through the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security to do everything possible to reduce the price of fertilizer and other farm inputs. From the National Assembly, Aniete Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
Concerns about vote buying continue to dominate conversations as Nigeria edges closer to future elections. Many citizens say the practice is now more brazen and needs urgent attention. Global TV correspondent Zahrau Nasir reports on growing public frustration and the calls for stronger action.
Vote buying is an election campaign violation that occurs in many countries, which undermines the integrity of electoral processes and is detrimental to democratic governance.
On the streets of Abuja, Nigerians are voicing deep worry over the rising trend of vote buying. To many, it is no longer a hidden practice but an open transaction that places personal gain above national interest. Those who spoke to Global TV described the act as a deliberate attempt by politicians to exploit citizens' economic challenges for selfish political advantage. They are urging voters to understand their rights, resist inducements, and protect the value of their votes.
The problem we have is we, the poor masses, or we, the people, we don't know even our rights. Because if I know my rights, you can't buy my vote. As a youth, sometimes hunger, we forget what will happen next than what will just happen now.
Stopping it, well, it depends. Nigerian politics is one politics that we don't know how to fix it. But the politicians, they know what to do about this. They should stop vote buying and let's be civil in whatever thing we are doing.
Our politicians are the most selfish set of people, and I don't think in the nearest future they will be willing to change. It's an attitudinal thing.
James Ogochukwu, Regional Executive General Secretary of the West African Civil Society Forum, says the persistence of vote buying is tied to poverty and worsening economic hardship. He explains that unless citizens are properly sensitized, especially at the grassroots, vote buying will continue to thrive.
Because a lot of Nigeria actually this depraved. If they know that they can get money that can buy them food for that particular day, or can even give them food for some couple of days, actually they will be susceptible to that kind of vote buying.
He also emphasized that security agencies must remain neutral and courageous enough to go after anyone involved in the act. According to him, credible elections cannot be achieved if law enforcement is compromised or selective in its operations. Zahrau Nasir, reporting for Global TV News.
The 2023 presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Dumebi Kachikwu, has called on Nigerians to support the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory in his drive to rid the FCT of land grabbing and illegal land takeover. The report.
The 2023 presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, Dumebi Kachikwu, criticized the attacks directed at the minister, describing them as unfair and dangerous for the rule of law. He says defending illegalities must not be encouraged.
They finally believe they have the minister where they want him, defenseless. Today, I weep for Nigeria because we are becoming a nation of people fueled by hate of anything government. The righteous indignation of this vocal minority calling for the minister's head is simply unacceptable to any right-thinking person.
According to him, if the same actions were taken by another minister, the public reaction would not be this intense, raising questions about whether the backlash is truly about justice or driven by personal sentiment. He also faulted the minister's colleagues for failing to publicly support him during the controversy and urged President Bola Tinubu to take a clear stand on the matter.
The narrative would have been different if a different minister was involved in this drama. Absolutely yes. We will all see the fact that the minister was provoked into calling the officer a fool, and the officer was also provoked into calling police officers bloody policemen.
He added that if the minister does not receive the needed political backing, he should consider resigning rather than presiding over a system that undermines law and order. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
It was an atmosphere of nostalgia, laughter, and heartfelt connection as the Federal Government Girls College FGGC Owerri Old Girls Association Class of 1980, fondly called the Vivacious Icons, held their grand reunion and anniversary celebration in Abuja. The event, which brought together accomplished women from various parts of Nigeria and abroad, was more than just a reunion. It was a celebration of friendship, resilience, and shared memories built over 4 decades ago within the walls of FGGC Owerri. Global TV's correspondent Ogochukwu Mobuno completes the report.
It was a colorful homecoming for proud alumni of FGGC Owerri, class of 1980, who converged to mark the 45th anniversary since graduating from one of Nigeria's foremost unity schools. The class of 1980, who are fondly called Vivacious Icons, celebrated the legacy of the college in shaping accomplished women in leadership, education, public service, and enterprise across the country and beyond. The president of the Old Girls Association class of 1980, Carol Alex Uzoma, described the reunion as a moment of gratitude and rededication to the values of discipline, unity, and excellence that define the FGGC spirit.
We are here for our global reunion. Our girls are coming from all over the world for our shared memories, for what we hold dear, for what Federal Government Girls College will relate to us, build us up, that we are proud citizens of Nigeria, proud Nigerians. When we think of Nigeria, we represent Nigeria.
Some of the Old Girls class of 1980 women took turns to reintroduce themselves to express how they feel about the reunion.
Whatever you see today, the woman I have become, the foundations of the FGGC, that I cannot take away. Wow, I give credit to my alma mater. What I am today is actually what I gained from my alma mater, the foundation of my education, the foundation of my career as a corporate person, and the woman I am today. I actually benefited from that, from my alma mater.
The events include sharing fond memories, plans for their upcoming election as it ends with joy and celebration. With 45 years behind them, the Old Girls of Federal Government Girls College class of 1980 says their mission continues to inspire the next generation of women leaders and to preserve the proud heritage of the FGGC family. Ogochukwu Mobuno reporting for Global Television News.
Good to relax and recollect old memories. You are watching the live broadcast of the News Prime. When the News Prime returns, House of Representatives approves budget push for Nuga Stadium. Details coming shortly, plus business and foreign stories on the other side of this break. Please stay tuned.
Customs Partnership for African Cooperation and Trade, CPACT, is here.
It is a high-level conference bringing customs administration and trade experts from across Africa to shape the future of customs cooperation.
The event is happening live in Abuja, Nigeria from the 17th to the 19th of November 2025 with the theme Breaking Barriers, Building Bridges.
And we've got an amazing lineup of keynote speakers, including His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Bashir Adewale Adeni, MFR, Comptroller General of Nigeria Customs Service.
Ian Saunders, Secretary General, World Customs Organization, WCO.
His Excellency Wamkele Mene, Secretary General, African Continental Free Trade Area, AFTA Secretariat.
Mrs. Kanayo Awani, Executive Vice President, African Export-Import Bank, Afrexim Bank.
Wale Edun, Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, MFR, Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The CPACT
Impact 2025 is powered by the Nigerian Customs Service in collaboration with the African Continental Free Trade Area (AfTA) and the African Export-Import Bank (Afreximbank) and supported by the World Customs Organization (WCO).
You are welcome back. The National Pension Commission is renewing efforts to expand pension coverage across Nigeria with a new plan designed to bring millions of informal workers into the retirement savings system. At the Pension Correspondents Association of Nigeria annual conference in Abuja, PENCOM outlined its strategy to capture nearly 80 million Nigerians through its revamped personal pension plan. Business correspondent Kikilomo Okere takes it from here.
For years, Nigerians' pension coverage has remained heavily skewed towards the formal sector, leaving a vast majority of workers, artisans, traders, farmers, and freelancers without any structure for retirement. Speaking at the annual conference of the Pension Correspondents Association of Nigeria in Abuja, the Director General of PENCOM, Omolola Oloworanran, who was represented by the Head of Corporate Communication at PENCOM, Ibrahim Buwai, reaffirmed the Commission's commitment to ensuring that every Nigerian, regardless of employment status, can look forward to secure retirement. She noted that Nigerian workforce is largely informal, yet this group remains severely undercovered.
Today, we reaffirm our commitment to ensuring that every Nigerian, whether formally employed or not, has the opportunity for a secure and dignified old age.
PENCOM says the new pension plan came from the need to redesign the old micro-pension scheme and make it more flexible, digital and inclusive, ensuring that people with irregular incomes can register easily and contribute at their own pace, noting that the new framework offers simplified registration, mobile-based contribution channels, and flexible saving options. PENCOM believes these innovations will encourage millions who previously saw pension as complicated or inaccessible to come on board.
What the personal pension plan has done is that it now brings even the voluntary contributions segment that the formal sector employees hitherto made under the formal CPS. Those contributions will now be captured under the personal pension plan. And the idea really is to offer more flexibility.
Earlier, the President, Pension Correspondents Association of Nigeria, Nana Musa, says there is need for public awareness, trust building, and technology-driven systems to deepen participation nationwide. Musa commended ongoing reform but insists that only sustained engagement, education, and policy support will convince millions of informal workers to embrace pension savings.
Dedicated to deepening public understanding of pension matters, we believe in closing this gap is central to achieving sustainable social security, reducing poverty, and promoting inclusive growth.
With the new plans, pension hope to grow long-term savings, strengthen financial inclusion, and secure the future of millions of Nigerians who currently have no retirement support structure. Kikilomo Okere, Global Television News.
The presidential nominee for co-chairmanship position on the board of Unclaimed Funds Trust Fund, Obehi Adeswa Okafo, has assured the Senate of productive investment of the fund if her appointment is confirmed. The nominee gave the assurance during her screening by the Senate Committees on Finance, Banking, Insurance, and other financial institutions. Here's the report.
The resolution followed the motion raised by Hart Godwin, who said many oil and gas firms are yet to comply with the Host Communities Development Trust Fund provision, a key feature of the Petroleum Industry Act, designed to ensure that all producing communities benefit directly from exploration activities. Under Section 240 of the Act, each oil company is required to contribute 3% of its annual operating expenditure into the fund, while Section 236 mandates that such trusts be incorporated within 12 months of the Act's commencement. But Godwin told the House that several operators have either ignored these provisions or failed to remit the funds, leaving host communities in neglect and hardship.
Mandate the Committee on Host Communities to investigate the failure of regulatory agencies to act decisively.
The House has now directed its Committee on Host Communities to investigate both the oil companies and the regulatory agencies responsible for enforcing compliance and report back within 4 weeks. In a related development, lawmakers also resolved to probe the financial dealings of NNPC LNG Limited. The House Committee on Gas Resources is to examine the operations and remittances of NNPC LNG Limited, a Cayman Island registered subsidiary of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, amid allegations of unreported financial transactions and possible revenue losses to the federal government. Lawmakers expressed concern over deductions from liquefied natural gas proceeds allegedly made without due authorization or disclosure.
Without a formal notification, disclosure, or approval of the federal government, thereby raising serious concerns of financial improprieties.
Both committees are expected to submit their findings within 4 weeks, part of what lawmakers describe as renewed efforts to enforce transparency and accountability in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. From the National Assembly, Anietie Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
To the foreign scene, where Ukraine's ambassador to South Africa, Alexander Sherba, has urged South Africans not to get involved in Russia's invasion, saying in an interview that 17 men were tricked into joining mercenary forces. The South African government last week had said it received what it described as distress calls from the men who were trapped in the epicenter of the fighting in Ukraine's Donbas region, begging to bring them home. Over to Uyi Agbomofegbe for details.
South African presidency said the men aged 20 to 39 were lured into joining mercenary forces on the pretext of lucrative employment contracts, without saying which side they were fighting for. However, local media outlet News 24 and Kiev both said they were on the Russian side. There is a legal dimension to the situation. It is illegal for South Africans to join foreign armies unless authorized by the government.
They have been recruited in violation of South African law, which I would imagine would be something that South African government would like to talk about with the Russian government. And by the way, if it's true that some of South African politicians were involved, then it makes the whole situation even more precarious.
The war, running for well over 3 years, has dealt a devastating blow to Russia and Ukraine, even though some analysts estimate that Kiev is on the receiving end.
Both sides are bleeding. Both sides are losing people. So Ukraine's position in this at this point of this war, with the front line not moving one way or another, just let's stop where we fight.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has ordered an investigation into the recruitment of South African men as mercenaries after News 24 claimed that the men were sent to Russia by the MK party of former President Jacob Zuma for security training. Uyi Agbomofegbe reporting for Global TV News.
In sports, the Confederation of African Football and the AFCON Morocco 2025 Local Organizing Committee has announced that fans traveling to the tournament will be eligible for free electronic visas. The governing body said the announcement comes amid growing global demand for Africa's biggest football event, with more fans booking tickets. The policy benefits citizens of countries that normally require a visa to enter Morocco. And the National Assembly says it will ensure that key Nigeria University Games Association NUGA projects, including the proposed sports stadium for the 2025 Games in Jos, are captured in the federal budget. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, gave the assurance during a visit by NUGA delegation to the National Assembly in Abuja. Aniete Patrick reports.
Receiving the NUGA leadership on behalf of the Speaker, Chairman of the House Committee on Sports, Kabir Amodu, said the legislature is fully committed to strengthening sports development across Nigerian universities. He assured that the Speaker has already taken note of the ongoing and proposed NUGA projects, especially the stadium development plan for the University of Jos, and will work to ensure they are provided for in the national budget. Amadou added that the House Committee on Sports is targeting a system where by 2026, every Nigerian university will have a functional sports complex or mini stadium capable of hosting international competitions.
I want to assure you that from the Speaker's office up to the Committee of Sports, you have our sport 100%. 100%. For this 2026 budget, I assure you that from the office of the Speaker and also from the committee, we'll definitely going to accommodate some of your projects in this 2026 budget.
Leader of the NUGA delegation, Goshen Obed, said their visits aimed to deepen collaboration ahead of the 27th edition of the Games at the University of Jos. Obed said NUGA is seeking the National Assembly support to complete outstanding projects valued at 13 billion naira to enable the university host international standard competitions.
University of Jos, they are setting a pace in sporting activities in the country. They are building state-of-the-art facilities that can host any international tournament. And they intend to leave a legacy projects after the NUGA Games. I'll leave the games. Some of the games are ongoing in the facility, some are not completed, so they're using other facilities within the state. It may interest you to know that the main ball is being upgraded. There's a new hockey pitch, cricket pitch, and 10-lane Olympic-style swimming pool, which is being built.
Meanwhile, 91 universities are currently participating with several key facilities, including hockey, cricket, and indoor sports halls already completed, while others remain under construction. Aniete Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
And just before we go, here's a recap of our top stories. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, Akure Zone, has accused the federal government of misrepresenting the status of negotiations with the union, adding that newly established universities are mere crisis centers. And the National Pension Commission is renewing efforts to expand pension coverage across Nigeria with a new plan designed to bring millions of informal workers into the retirement savings scheme. And on the foreign scene, we told you that Ukraine's ambassador to South Africa, Alexander Sheba, has urged South Africans not to get involved in Russia's invasion, saying in an interview that 17 men were tricked into joining mercenary forces. And in sports, the National Assembly says it will ensure that key Nigeria University Games Association NUGA projects, including the sports stadium for the 2025 Games in Jos, are captured in the federal budget. And a quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Shehu Said, wishing you a pleasant weekend.
Yeah.